Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to the Team Velocity Volume 3 Marathon here in support of Movember. All of our proceeds are from donations and proceeds from you kindly folks in chat are going to be going to the Movember Foundation, but benefiting research towards men's mental health, suicide prevention, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer studies. With us right now, we have the BPG13, also known as Viper, going to be running Driver. You are the Wheelman. Any percent. A quick little plug though. We have a couple of donation incentives coming up for both Mega Man Extreme 2 and Rolled Out. We've currently hit the incentive for Mega Man Extreme 2 to do NG plus 100%, but we do have a bid war going on now to do X Mission or Zero Mission. Currently, X Mission is winning right now with the $5 donation. So if you'd like to see Zero Mission, you should probably get those donations in here pretty soon. And then for Rolled Out, we have 3 different characters that you can pick from. An axolotl, oops, I forgot all 3 of them. We have, excuse me, Guava the Koala, Flotsam the Axolotl, and Rook the Field Unit. Currently, Guava the Koala is winning with a $15 donation, but I know somebody's coming in with a donation for the Axolotl, so get those in it while you can. And then last but not least, we have several naming incentives for Pokemon Soul Silver to end today's stream. So, Viper, if you'd like to take it away, and go ahead and get started on your run.
No problem. Okay, doke. So, hello everybody. I'm the thebpg13, also known as Viper. Welcome to Driver, or Driver You Are the Wheelman. We're playing this on a PS1 emulator known as Duck Station. You guys may be very familiar with that, and I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, emulators, but anyway, so I'll explain the story as we go, but long story short, there's a lot of missions to go through 4 cities: Miami, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. Like I said, I'll try and explain the story as we go. So time starts when I hit the new game. So if we're ready to go on time, I'll give you a countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alrighty, good luck.
Thank you very much. So allow me to start from the very beginning, obviously. So you play as John Tanner, and John Tanner is a undercover cop that works for, I believe it's Miami PD or New York Police Department, one of the two. And this game actually takes a very big inspiration from the 1978 film known as The Driver. And this opening cutscene, so I say cutscene, this opening mission, which I'm sure a lot of people are very familiar with and struggled with as a kid. So this is actually something that they do in the film. Just make sure I got that. There we go. So that's the interview. That's like the main, like the first mission that I'm pretty sure a lot of people, when they first played this game, didn't actually get past. But yeah, that's like the introduction mission for it. So we have this answering machine here. So the answering machine and the apartment that we're in Miami right now. This is the start of the game. So we're about the first 20-25 minutes. Now, for the most part, we're going to be just selecting the first mission that comes up on the answering machine. However, after we've done this mission, we actually get to pick. So this game has several branching paths. So, for example, you might have 2 or even 3. Sometimes I think at one point you have 4 missions. But to kind of put it blunt, depending on the missions that you pick will depend on the route that you take. So, for example, this first mission is called the bank job, and it literally involves us driving to a bank, picking up a bunch of robbers and taking them to a safe house. And a lot of the missions are often get from point A to point B without any police, enemy, cars, etc. on your tail. So the first thing to mention is that because this was the first Driver game and not the second, you couldn't actually get out of your car. So basically, if you wreck your car, it tends to result in a game over and you have to start again from the beginning. Also, we always get here too early, but basically the time will stop at around 15 seconds to actually be able to pick these guys up. And also, one key part of this run, straight off the bat, which you may have noticed, is that we are playing the game in first person view, and that we are often going to be looking to our left and to the right. So the reason for this is because, so when this game was released on the PlayStation 1 back in 1999, I don't think it was the first 3D driving game. I think that went to like Gran Turismo or something, or Wipeout or Destruction Derby. But in 1999, when this first released, the game had suffered a little bit with its frame rate. Driver 2 suffered a lot more with its frame rate, but obviously we'll talk about that another time, I suppose. A lot of people may know about that, but that's for another point. So Driver 1, for the most part, runs at 25 frames on PAL and 30 frames on NTSC. If you're on the Japanese version, then it runs at 30 frames per second as well. So one of the things that we do a lot is we play the game in first person, and we often do this looking to the side thing. And there's a reason for that. So when you're looking to the side, you're not looking at anything in particular. You're literally just looking at the... Oh, that was a bit unfortunate timing. Boo. Boo. That was a really bad... That was unfortunate cop spawn. So, anyway, as I was saying before, I got really interrupted by that policeman. Hopefully the guys get out. There we go. So, to put it blunt, you can actually speed the game's frame rate up. So we often use this between during missions and also at the end as well. So if you're not looking at much on screen, then the frame rate speeds up. If you're looking at a lot on screen, then you'll end up, obviously, the game will be a lot slower. So it's a weird tactic. It was found by a guy called Iceman, who, when he did his runs, he was often playing in first-person view and looking to the side a lot. And there's also something called dead zones, I suppose. Well, I call them dead zones, but the bottom line of that is, you'll notice that there'll be times where I will literally just drive straight, looking to the side and not even concentrating on what is in front of me. You know, like for example, I will sit in the middle of the road at a certain point and then just do that without looking where I'm going. And this is basically what a dead zone is. So a dead zone is you can just sit in a certain part, on a certain part of the road, and constant look to the side like that, and you won't hit anything. There's like cars that can move over, but they won't move over, if that makes sense. So you can, for example, you can sit on like the double yellow lines in the middle of the highway, and the police will try their best to hit you, but you won't hit any traffic. There are times where it doesn't always work, I will be honest, but for the most part it does work. So like for here, the best way to put it is, if you look at the headlights on the car, the paths cross over and there's like an X that you can see. So you want to line the X as close to the middle of that of them two lines as possible, and you can literally just sit here and do this. Let's just hold the accelerator down, look to the side, smooth 30 frames per second experience, and voila. Now, I do have a cop here, so I'm going to have to get rid of him at the end, but that's fine. If I'm lucky, I might be able to lose him before the end, but I'm not counting on it. To be honest, if there's one thing you should never expect, it's that the police will automatically do you a favour. There we go. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. I will take that. So normally what happens is, what we end up doing is we have to do like a handbrake turn here when we get to the end of this mission, and spin around and make the car start going backwards. This is so that Tico does not have, who the guy in the character is here, so that he doesn't have to walk as far. Basically, it speeds the mission up, makes it a bit faster. So yeah. Also, sometimes the music does what you can hear where it slows down. It's a thing you don't have too often, but it does happen in this game. I won't lie to you, it does happen. Yeah, so we've done the interview, which is the car part thing, which a lot of people struggle with. We've done the bank job. We've just done Tico's ride. The next mission is called the cleanup. So you may have just heard in the background that Tico supposedly helped, and I quote in brackets, helped some guy's memory and made it better. That was closely followed with gunshots, and now we've got to go and clean up, apparently. Yeah, if your imagination's as easy as a kid at 5-year-old, then I'm pretty sure you will know exactly what happens without any context whatsoever. Anyway, so we're supposedly the cleanup for this mission. Now, I will just say for the record that this game, from start to finish, as for a casual player, it will be extremely challenging and very, very tough. And you would be forgiven for not finishing this game, because even on the easiest cop difficulty, it's still very difficult, as you'll see during this run. The majority of this run is police, that is RNG to hell from start to finish. And there's no way around it. There is literally no way of getting around it whatsoever. You can try your best to get away, try your best, and for example, the best run that's on emulator console, which is by myself, doesn't have the best police RNG on missions and stuff like that. In fact, my summer best for the game as a whole is under 1 hour and 6 minutes. On console, it's about 1 hour 9. Console is significantly slower than emulator, as you might imagine, because, well, emulators usually tend to do a better job in terms of frame rate, and it's what an emulator does, isn't it? So, but yeah, kind of a few other key questions as well is that whilst we're on the subject of Driver, I might as well bring up the sequel. So Driver 2 got released a year following this, and as I'm sure a lot of people may remember as a kid, that Driver 2 was a very bad game in terms of frame rate. Like, the game itself was quite a long game and had a lot more butt for your bang, but it was a lot more what's the word? I'm just gonna say bad. It was bad in terms of game performance, frames per second and stuff. So if you ever played it on the PlayStation 1, then you may remember how bad the frame rate was. But I do actually have some good news in that regard. So over the last year, actually, it just turned one about a week ago, the Driver community is still going quite strong. So one of the key members of the Driver community, somebody formerly known as Soapy, created basically a reversed engineered version of Driver 2. Now, like I said, Driver 1 had a few frame rate issues, but Driver 2 was a lot worse in terms of frame rate. Like, you could get out the car and stuff like that, but if there's one thing that Driver 2 was known for, it was known for its bad frame rate and things like that. However, thanks to, like I said, a reverse engineered project known as Red River 2 or Redriver 2, if you want to read it like that, you can actually play the game exactly how it was probably intended when the game was made. So what this basically does is it brings Driver 2 to PC, and it's a free project that you can download and stuff off GitHub and things like that. But the only catch, obviously, and I don't blame them for this, is that there's a requirement of having your own game to play the game, because it still needs game files in order to in order to still do its thing and play the game itself. But yeah, if anyone was ever interested in playing Driver 2 on PC, because it never got a PC release, it got a Game Boy Advance release called Driver 2 Advance, but yeah, if you ever wanted to play Driver 2 at an actual considerable frame rate and a lot nicer, and also as well is that it had a change implemented in Red River 2, or Redriver 2. It had several changes, quite a few changes, so it was like instant load times, like 1080p support. Custom replays was a thing, so when you when you have a chase mission, you have to chase a vehicle, you can actually now chase a programmed route which was created by one of the Driver community members, so it's like Olenov, Vortex, Soapy, I think there's a guy called Snoopy as well. There's several people in the Driver community that have done, they've done these replays and things like that, and they are absolutely brilliant. So, how we didn't, I don't know how he didn't lose me, but so the one thing that I will mention is that on the easiest difficulty, the police can actually be destroyed with ease compared to medium and hard. Like on medium, I think it takes up half your car's health, like half your car's damage from empty, to destroy these cars. Whereas on hard, it takes like 3/4 of your health just to destroy one cop car because they have so much health. So yeah, if you ever wanted to beat this game on hard, I'd just wish you the best of luck in that regard. So this next mission is called Bust Out Machine Paul. Now this is actually a two-part mission. So we have to chase an armoured car. Well, it's not exactly armoured. It's a police car, and it's also another thing is that yeah, we just have to take him out like that. So we've actually got to do, because like I said, there's two parts of this mission. We've just got to wait for Jean-Paul to get in the car. Eventually he'll get in the car. So there's two parts. So the first one is to destroy the car and it's to destroy the police car and get Jean-Paul out. Once you've got Jean-Paul out, there's then a second part of this mission. The second part of the mission is to get Jean-Paul from where I am right now, to get them from there all the way to the safe house. Now I'm facing the wrong way, which immediately doesn't help, but we'll make the best of that situation. Now, given how far away I am, the thing is as well is the timer that you can see at the top. This actually doesn't change depending on how far away from the safe house you are. For example, you could be like halfway towards the safe house, and yeah, you could be halfway towards the safe house, and they'd still give you like 1 minute and 55 seconds. But the worst one is like now, where I am absolutely miles away, so the timing is going to be pretty hard to do this. It seems better like, oh, okay, so the further you let him get, the better it is to get there. It's true, that is actually true. So you like want to have like a good distance, where a good spot where you catch the police car and completely take him down. One thing I also want to make just mention is, you may see the felony bar underneath the damage bar. So if you get too much felony, you can actually get police roadblocks on you. And hopefully I don't get one. I've hit a vehicle, okay. So I'm a bit unlucky there because police decide to take me out. Thing is, when there's plenty of police cars like that, it usually makes things a bit more hectic for the police. Like, they find it harder to keep up with you, which is always nice. Also, we survived that somehow, which is always nice. There we go. Good stuff. Made that in one go, that's good. So, believe it or not, for a run, for a decent run anyway, like, in general, like I said, the whole point of Driver, the whole run, and I think this applies for the second game as well, is it's all down to where the police spawns are. There's no mission more important for police spawns than this one. So allow me to introduce the hardest mission in Miami. This is called Superfly Drive. Now, Superfly Drive is about a 3 and a bit minute mission. And when you get right near the end, you do not want the police car. And there's a simple reason for that. So the car that we're driving is supposed to be some sort of muscle sports car thing or other. It's supposed to be like some sports car thing. Anyway, so this sports car, supposedly in the PC version, compared to the original car, so the normal cars can go up to about 90 odd miles an hour. But the supercar that we're driving right now, this can actually go up to like 120 miles an hour. It goes pretty quick. Now you have a couple of routes to get there that you can take. You know, like obviously the option is yours, whichever one you want to take. But we are going to take the long way round approach, simply because there's another route which is a lot more risky in my opinion and is not worth it. You don't really want to try it, especially as someone running the game for the first time. So the other thing is as well is that this car is extremely fragile to damage. So for example, me just tapping a car once can actually severely damage it. So if there's anything that I don't want to do on this mission, it is literally just what I was about to do, which is to damage the car. And also, as well, right near the end, it's possible that you can still have a cop chasing you. If that is the case, then you'll obviously need to be extremely careful. There's times like this where I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna let him go past me, because I obviously don't want to get any damage off him. This car's that fast though that you can easily, and I mean this, that you can easily outrun the police. So there's no like, you know, oh, I can't outrun the police. Like, all the other cars that you get in the game can just about outrun the police, but they have like the same top speed, near enough, whereas this sports car that we've got here does not have. It only has 120 horsepower, 120 miles per hour. So I think we might be in the clear here. Once you get close enough, the cop doesn't tend to spawn, so I think we may be in the clear here. Come on. Do some good luck today, at least. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. So you ideally want to do that in one take. That was me playing it safe as well, which is really, really good. So, thank God that went well. Don't worry, it's not the hardest mission. There are harder missions coming. So the next one that we've got is one called Take Out D'Angio's Car. So D'Angio is one of the characters in the game, and apparently he's been grassing us, he's been snitching on us to the FBI or something. Because obviously we're an undercover cop, and some of these gangs apparently can smell a rat. So D'Angio supposedly thinks that we're the rat, so what we're going to do is we're going to take him out and get him arrested. And the easiest way is obviously to destroy his car. So, yeah, now we're just going to follow him. It's a case of follow the leader with D'Angio. These paths that he takes are completely random. He does not take the same routes every time. So, he might go one way, he might go another. Or that. That can always happen. If you hit him hard enough, then, yeah, that happens. That also has the longest endgame part as well. So after a mission is finished, it usually says well done or something like that. It usually takes around, or roughly around, about 5 or 10 seconds, give or take. Something like that, right? But for some weird reason, on that particular chase mission, they decided that they give like an extra 5 or 10 seconds. Also, this is the first time that we get introduced to brain physics. And believe it or not, this mission can actually trip you up as well. There's several reasons why. The main reason is if you get a car on that junction or not. If you get a car on that junction, then you'll hit it. Chances are you'll come face to face, directly in contact with it. And the last thing you want to be doing is hitting it, of course. So the two cops that are chasing us, you can see behind us. These cops will constantly respawn in front of us on the road. They will come out of side streets and everything. They just constantly respawn. It is possible to lose the police on this mission. But if you do, then don't sweat. They will come back on your tail. Not that you were too worried. So here's the funny part. So the tram goes all the way around there. But all we've actually got to do here is if we just go across here like this and try and like meet. It's not exactly too difficult to do, but if you can meet the length of the tram, and then eventually they have these no cop zones where they automatically disable police. So if you have any police chasing you, they're automatically disabled. And hopefully, and so it's about here where we stop. And there we go. So we've caught her. She's busted. So the girl we've been trying to chase. Okay. Here's the thing. So
Listen, lady.
in Miami, in Tanner Meets Rufus, you meet the mission that we've got. I know you mentioned there's too many characters to kind of keep up with. So earlier in the game, we met a character called Rufus. Rufus had a girlfriend. Don't really know what she's called. He just kept calling her Pussycat, right? Bit similar to what Tony Montana would call his girlfriend in Scarface. So he's like, "Whoa, take it easy, Pussycat." Anyway, turns out this girl who was with him ends up actually shooting Rufus and killing him. So hence the reason why you end up chasing her on the tram in The Informant. That's the reason we chased her in the first place, because she killed Rufus. Now, I don't know if Rufus is an undercover cop as well. I don't really remember that part of the story. But he does, you know, he supposedly helps Tanner. And then obviously gets shot by his girlfriend, and then next thing is like, okay, he's been shot, now what? Tanner's like, I've got to get after her. So he chases her, and it turns out that she ends up working for somebody else. She's working for some guy, and the guy's in San Francisco. Hence the reason why we are now in San Francisco. You may have noticed as well a change of car. There's a lot more hills, there's trams, there's everything. And there's also a fun little thing that me and a guy called Iceman like to do. So what me and Iceman like to do is we like to see if we can beat that tram. So if you're fast enough picking the guys up, and then so if you're fast enough picking the guys up from the bank that they just robbed, the casino, that they've just robbed, you can actually get to the bottom of the road, and you can actually beat that red tram, as in just about get in front of it. It is a very tight window, but if you can pull it off, I don't think it saves that much time, but it's like half a second or something. But it's like a fun little game of beating. It's just called. We just have like a fun little game of beat the tram. Iceman seems to get it more than I do, but still, regardless of that, you know, that's enough of me talking anyway. If there's any information about charity or anything you want to mention, then feel free to go right ahead.
Much appreciated. That was very, very bang 25 minutes of that run so far. But yeah, as I mentioned before the run started, Velocity Volume 3 is supporting the Movember Foundation to help promote men's health and awareness of, you know, the diseases that men have to live with and have to deal with each year. And so one of those is prostate cancer. It's actually the most commonly diagnosed cancer in the United States, and globally more than 1.3 million men are diagnosed each year. So, and across at least the United States, there are more than 3 million men living with and beyond the disease, because, you know, just because you're the one that has the disease doesn't mean that it doesn't affect your family members and those sorts of things. And many are actually also dealing with serious side effects of treatment. So it doesn't have to be like this. So, you know, we can help by taking action and donating money towards the Movember Foundation to help forward research and hopefully alternative methods to deal with prostate cancer in the future. I will say we did get a donation back from the from the Last Guardian run from one of the community members, Aiden. Aiden, thank you very much for your $5. It's much appreciated. We have a couple bid wars coming up, and I think the next run after 2 runs from this, we have Mega Man Extreme 2. There's a bid war currently going on to see whether we will have Tempest be running X Mission or Zero Mission. Currently, X Mission, I believe, is winning with a $5 bid incentive. But, you know, if you really like Zero Mission, you can easily snipe in and get that. Or definitely make sure it happens by donating much more than $5 and help out the Movember Foundation. On top of that, there's also rolled out. There's a character bid war going on with Guava the Koala, Flotsam the Axolotl, and Rook the Fuel Unit. Currently, Guava is winning, I believe, with a $15 donation. But we do know that we have a donation coming in for the Axolotl. So, you know, make sure to try and get it in if you really want it. And last but not least, there's several naming bid wars going on for what to name the Pokemon in Pokemon Soul Silver, as well as the playable characters. So get those donations in, help out the Movember Foundation. And then last but very not least, today's International Men's Day. So it perfectly happens to line up with the Movember, you know, process and background and, you know, what it stands for. So make sure to send an appreciation to the men in your life and let them know the positive things they're doing so that, you know, we can build a better community as men. And back to you, Viper.
No problem. Thank you very much. So, the mission that we're currently doing at the moment, which we just started, is a mission called Guns in the Trunk. So, the reason why we picked this mission, there's several missions that we can pick. So, there's one called the Briefcase, which is a very hard mission. Even for the best of players, I'd say it's still quite a difficult mission. And definitely is not optimal for a speedrun. So all the missions that we do in this entire run will be the fastest missions. There's actually a few little hidden tricks that this game has up its sleeve, which I'm looking forward to showing off and seeing what you guys think. They are relatively straightforward to pull off, but we'll get into those when we get to them. So, in Guns in the Trunk, we have to get to Fisherman's Wharf, supposedly to make a deal with the guy at Fisherman's Wharf, and he's got guns, and he's apparently wanting to sell them to us. Again, don't forget, we're an undercover cop, so any sort of lead like that will help us with finding, uncovering the bigger plot for like the crime underworld sort of thing, if that makes sense. So, the funny thing is about this mission is it gives you 3 minutes to do this mission at the start. So like the first part of this mission takes 3 minutes. That is actually not the case. It does not take you 3 minutes. If anything, it takes a lot less than 3 minutes. Also, nice, we have a henchman. Very nice. So, what we've actually got to do here is we've got if he's wrecking. He might be wrecking himself, I don't know. Nice. That actually worked in our favour. I've never had him do that before, so that was a nice relief. So yeah, the Guns in the Trunk, when you start off, you get like 3 and a bit minutes to get to Fisherman's Wharf. Whereas we can get there in like 50 seconds. The thing is as well, it's like they think that for a route like that, I think like maybe less than 2 minutes would be a really suitable time limit. But apparently they decided to give people 3 minutes. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure even a casual player could get to that in like less than 2 minutes. Even at like a first time, but whatever, I don't make the rules, the game does. But right now we've got a favourite mission of mine known as Taxi. So this guy knows some information, we're going to freak him out, and we're going to drive to his taxi. So the easiest way to do this is to drive near the cars, really freak him out, whack the car against the wall, like really whack him, and you can also really freak him out properly, like that. Now I will just say, for the record, that just happened. I've never had that happen on a marathon run. I need to just say something about that. So, this has happened a couple of times. This is not a problem. But basically, I've hit that wall a couple of times and you can get out of bounds. There's no use in it, but what happens is because of how the game is, the game goes, oh, you can get out of bounds here, but I was actually inside a building there. It doesn't really provide any tactical play. That is genuinely never happened before, so that's no word of a lie. It has happened before, but not in a marathon. That's the thing. So I may have just decided to clip through a wall at speed. Yeah, but the whole point of it, to kind of explain how to scare the guy. So you do a burnout, you go at speed, you go into oncoming traffic, and then swerve towards that wall normally. And then what happens is the guy usually needs the last bit of freaking out, and the easiest way of freaking the guy out, do some donuts, and he freaks out. So, yeah, there you go. So also, I'm going to make sure I don't go too fast for this jump, because I did it in practice, I think yesterday, or on Wednesday. This mission went exceedingly bad. So I flipped the car over somehow, and then the other one was I tagged the car somehow, and for some odd reason the car decided to send me into the wall and the car flipped over. And the thing is, in this game, when the car flips over, yeah, game over usually. It's a case of car flips over, instantly wrecked. There's going to be a few funny moments. I'm looking forward to showing it off later in this run. But yeah, obviously, as I saw in chat, as someone said, yeah, marathon luck does go both ways. You're absolutely right. It's been the first run that I've done of driver for quite a while for a marathon, so I presumed that like anything would happen. I just wasn't expecting that to happen, I'll be honest. Like, it happened 2 or 3 times in practice, and I was like, that's not consistent. But I'll take it. If that happens, it happens. Then the fact that it just happened there, I'm like, yep, that just happened, I guess. I have to go take it on the chin and go, yeah. Like, that's not a bad thing, though. This is what I will stress. That me going out of bounds, clipping out of bounds, it's fine. If the car flipped over, then I would have been in trouble. Because the car flipping over is usually... you runs over, basically. I'm not saying that you'd you wouldn't... If you were going for PB run, for example, you would just turn around and go, right, I'm gonna... I'm going to reset this run. But if you were doing this, like, obviously now I'm just doing a casual one. If I flip over, I usually instant reset and things like that. Also, yeah. Game physics, woo, yeah. Helicopter, flies, physics, I don't know. Even I'm like, I don't know. The helicopter, the propeller physics on that are just wacky. They're really, really wacky. So, Cozy to Chopper was a mandatory mission. So I will mention something. So, in my splits for this game, I have the name of the missions, obviously, so I know which one's which. But the one thing I don't have is I don't have letters next to some of them. So I know that people can't see my splits, but to put it bluntly, for this mission, there's no letter next to it. And there's a reason for that. So some missions, like Coast to the Chopper and the Mercy mission, which is this, which has also got a neat little thing I would like to mention as well in a minute, are mandatory missions. These are missions that you must do in the game regardless. Like, there's no way of skipping them or getting around them. You have to do the missions. So, what I was going to say, so this is the Mercy mission. On PlayStation 1, this is split into 3 parts. Part 1 is what we're doing right now. Part 2, we've got to get to another telephone booth. Part 3, we get to another telephone booth, and then that's the end. On PC, this mission has 4 parts. And you may be thinking, right, okay, so what's the difference? Well, here's the thing. There isn't a major... Also, I'm in a car all of a sudden for some reason. There isn't actually a major difference, but PS1 is faster in this mission because of the fact that it only has 3 parts, not 4. But when the cutting room floor, which I'm sure a lot of people here may be familiar with for a lot of video games, somebody looked into the game's code on the PlayStation 1 version. Obviously, going through the whole, EXE and everything. Turns out, if you enter a certain GameShark code, you can actually activate the 4th part of this mission. Just like you would, just like you would on the PC version. So the easiest way you can tell why the parts don't add up properly is at the end of part 3, Tanner is stood in a park next to a phone booth. In the PC version, the 4th part ends from... It starts where part 3 ends. So where this mission is going to end for us on PS1, the 4th part of the mission will start for PC. And we'll carry on. And it ends in a park. Now, like I said, in the cutscene, that works. So, like, in the PC sense, if you were playing the PC version and you watch the cutscene, it would make complete sense. But in the PS1 version, I never picked up on this. But on the PS1 version, when you get to the final cutscene, you'll notice he stood in the park, not on the side of a street. There's actually an FMV file which plays after every single part. So you've just seen then I skipped past it and everything. On the PC version, there's actually the part 3. And on PC, you've obviously got the part 3 outro bit where he stood talking at the telephone. Then you've got part 4 where you've got to drive from that part to, the telephone booth in the park. On PS1, they skipped that 3rd cutscene entirely because the 4th part was skipped, and you just get the 4th part's cutscene. So yeah, there's something interesting for people to know. There is cheats for this game, by the way, if anyone's interested. But you can only unlock them once you beat the game. Now, I'll be honest, I beat this game quite a few times. Obviously, speedrunning pretty much about 99% of the reason now. But when you beat the game, you do unlock some cheats. You unlock, obviously, invincibility, you unlock immunity, something called antipodium, which is basically the image is flipped upside down. You're driving on the ceiling instead of driving on the road, like the right way up. There's rear wheel drive, which is where your rear wheels turn do the steering instead of the front wheels. And you've also got minis. So minis is, to kind of put it on, minis is all the cars are shrunk down to a certain size. So here's where the part I mentioned is. So you'll notice now on this part, ready? Hannah's in a park now. If you, as a kid, I never picked up on it, but if you were clever enough to pick up on it, he's now in a park, even though we didn't finish anywhere near a park. The park's in the other half of the map, but you don't get it. So yeah, there you go. Something interesting. So we've done the Mercy mission anyways. That's the Mercy mission and all of its good stuff. The Minis cheat, by the way, that I mentioned, it basically shrinks all the cars down, tiny, makes them very, very small, and it is hilarious. I've never done a run with the Minis cheat on. It is possible to run with the Minis cheat on, I believe. But it is just funny seeing like mini police cars and mini cars just drive about. The weird thing is, it shrinks the car, but it doesn't shrink the hitbox. So if you're thinking, oh, okay, so you're driving a mini car with a mini hitbox. No. So it's got the hitbox of the regular car, but the cars are tiny. So yeah, that's the mini cheat for you. So this mission is called the Settle, and I think it should come as no surprise what the gist of this mission is. So, in the missions that we get to pick in the answering machine, we actually have this one, there's the Hyde Street pickup, and something else, I can't remember the other mission off the top of my head. But between this and Hyde Street pickup, this seemed like the easier mission to do, and a bit more consistent. So, to get from, you have to get to this car park here with no police, and then, boom, it's a setup. Gee. You wouldn't have thought so, would you? You didn't, unless you completely just didn't read the, unless you completely didn't read the, what's it called? The title of the mission. So it spawns 4 police cars, and now what we've got to do is we've now got to get back to our motel. So the one thing that I will mention is the frame rate here does tank a lot, so getting the frame rate up is quite difficult. Once all the cars disappear out of view, the frame rate seems to catch up again. You know, speed up a little bit and stuff, so which is nice. Also, rain effects do hamper the frame rate. I will mention that. Obviously, loads of cars on screen in the wet. It basically turns the game into a bit of a lag fest, and that's something I remember as a kid. Usually at the end of this mission, or we're probably going to get one now, is there's always a cop somewhere around here. Also, I think I may have got away with it. Yes, I have. Wow, okay, marathon really does work in interesting ways, doesn't it? So we completely missed that last cop, which is convenient because that means that when I get to the back to the hotel, I don't actually have to sit around and wait for the police to lose me. Because at the end of this mission, you have to wait until the police lose you. Which is a shame. Also, the guy that set us up is a guy called Slater. And guess what? Remember D'Angelo? What happened to him? Well, we've got to take down Slater now. Turns out Slater ends up being part of the story in more ways than one. He's actually a driver for the gang that we are working for. And he's threatening to, take his thing to the police and go, I'll take you down. It's one of them things. Also, that was a fairly easy kill. Nice. And that's also San Francisco done. So you can either get one of several ways. You can either go straight ahead, he can turn left, or he can turn right. When he turns left, you really want to get there quick. Otherwise, he'll just disappear and it'll take a while before you catch up to him again. So, here's where the fun starts. So welcome everybody to Los Angeles. Los Angeles has a hidden trick up its sleeve. Now, Los Angeles unlike the best run, probably takes a little under 11 minutes. This is actually the shortest part in the entire run because of a few little things. So we do 4 missions. We do steal a cop car, the chase, the Maddox hit, and the mission called Beverly Hills Getaway. Now, straight away I'm going the wrong way, as you can tell. But there's a reason for that. So, something that I hadn't really remembered from when I was a kid, and something that Iceman discovered, is he found out that, you see the water on the left hand side? Yeah, turns out there's some really buggy collision detection here, as I'm about to kind of show off. So, there's a certain part of the barrier that just isn't solid. So yeah, you sink the car, and there you go. You glitch outside the map and sink the car, and it immediately classes as mission passed. And we actually do this on 2 missions. So this actually speeds the run up by quite a bit. So like the original times for this run, I think were like in the 120s. Thanks to this find, it knocked about 10 minutes off the run, there or thereabouts. So this is the chase. The chase is the very difficult mission, and I'll be honest, it is a extremely horrible one. Especially when stuff like that happens. So I've got to chase Duval here. Duval has infinite mass, which means that if you hit him at 100 miles an hour, he's gonna fire you out like there's no tomorrow. So we've really got to catch him here. He is a bit of a pain to take down, I will be honest. Like, there is times where he just becomes annoying. Actually, I'm going to restart that one because that was started okay and then went extremely terrible. So, luckily, the chase doesn't take too long, but it's a case of how Duval drives. Like, if his driving sucks and your driving's decent, and you can grind up against him, like so, like that, then yeah, you can instantly take him down pretty quick. Like I said, it's kind of luck of the draw what route the AI takes. Now, there's several routes that the AIs can take, so you just have to pray that they're, you just have to pray that they're going to be nice to you. So, speaking of all of this stuff and missions and things like that, allow me to introduce you to the Maddox hit. The Maddox hit is one of the longest missions in Driver 1 in Los Angeles. In fact, it takes about half of the time of Los Angeles. This is because of the fact that it's split into several parts. So where we start, we have to go and pick up some hitmen. We've then got to get from the garage where we pick them up to a Chinese restaurant where supposedly the hit is taking place. Then we've got to get them to a safe house. Now all of this, tasked with rain and a frame rate that is sluggish at the best of times and drops like a stone, can take up to 6 minutes on its own. That's including like load times and everything. So obviously we want to make sure that we don't hit anything, and I will try and make sure that I don't go flying off. There's actually points where you can, if you can actually tell what the AI is going to do, like the traffic pattern, then that also helps as well. Like for example, sometimes there's a car on my left there that might come out of nowhere, and he'll literally just come out of nowhere and hit me. It's like game over. Also, when you've got a cop chasing you, the last thing you want is to hit these cone things. If you hit these cone things, then what happens is the cop gets very annoyed and the felony goes up slightly. So, it's a bit similar as well. So one thing that I think they copied and pasted was the car park. So, whoa, yeah. Which I think was a copy and pasted car park from San Francisco. And it was like, right, let's put it in Los Angeles, why not? So what we actually used to do... Oh, there we go. So what we actually used to do on this mission was we used to do the alternate way, which was, you actually have 2 ways of finishing this mission. So the first way is to get them to the safe house. The second way, if you want to play it safe, is to go and do the out of bounds thing, which is what you saw before, where we flip the car and we let it sink. It's completely up to you which one you do, but it's actually faster to do the normal way rather than do the glitchy way, the out of bounds way. Excuse me. But yeah, if we've got any time for any messages or anything for charity, then feel free to go right ahead. Well, that was very close.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Let me double check some of our donations here. And we recently got a $20 donation from our previous runner from The Last Guardian, our own Usurpering. Comment is, I had to do it to him. That's the level harm I'm doing. Go zoom, zoom, vroom, vroom. Thank you very much for the message on that, Usurp. Alrighty. And I do have one question for you myself. Are you playing with a controller, mouse, keyboard, or are you playing with a wheel?
So normally when I've played the game in the past on emulator in this case, but normally I use controller. I've never really been one for using mouse and keyboard. There's actually a very few set of games that I use mouse and keyboard for, so if in doubt for me, it's usually controller every time that I use. And for this reason, I'm actually using an Xbox 360 controller, which probably sounds a bit bizarre, but obviously emulators let you use anything, don't they? So hence the reason why I'm using that one.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that 360 controllers are probably still the most prominent controllers among the most part. So they're so widely available and so easy just to plug and play. So very cool.
Yeah, so there is actually one thing that, speaking of controls and stuff like that, one thing that I can definitely mention is that over the years of playing this game, so when I used to have this game on PS1, I still do actually, truth be told. But when I used to have it, when I was younger, when I played it when I was younger, I used to use obviously PS1 controller when I was playing it, but it was the one without the DualShock. I forget what the actual controller is, because I know there's the DualShock 1, but it was the PS1 controller that didn't have the DualShocks, if you know the one. That was the one that I always used to use, and the weird thing is as well, is that I don't outright refuse to use analog sticks for PS1 games, but whenever I played PS1 games, I always used D-pads, every time. And it's even crossed over into some of my other speedruns as well. For example, the most bizarre one I've done, well, not bizarre one, but the most bizarre thing that people have learnt about me was, so I run, obviously, rallying games and things like that, such as Call of Duty Rally 2, and obviously when I was younger I used to play and use a D-pad, and the weird thing is that my brain, or just the way of thinking, just did not want to change from that mindset, at all. It just did not want to change. I knew he'd eventually despair. But yeah, so I ended up using D-pad for driving, for the controls, for Colin McRae Rally 2 and things like that. And it's very weird because analog is supported, but in my opinion, analog is slower than D-pad for that game in particular. I'm not saying that as a global thing. It's just for that particular game, I just seem to have an easier time, especially keeping the speed up and stuff through corners. But on driver, I always played it with a D-pad. I've tried playing the original drivers with analog stick, and the PC port of Driver 2, which, like I say, is called Red River 2 or Redriver 2. It allows for D-pad and analog support, same as the original game does, but the game is very odd in terms of how it handles for analog. It just feels very sensitive on analog compared to D-pad, and it's no different with some of the other games I play. Like, analog seems to be extremely sensitive, whereas D-pad just isn't. Also, so this mission is called the Beverly Hills Getaway, and the reason why we picked this particular mission is because on the other missions, so there's one other mission that we used to do called the Setup, and the Setup involves you driving from point A to point B with no particular time limit in mind, and it used to take about 3.5–4 minutes, but then found out that you can use the out of bounds on this mission, and it basically, when added up, saved like 2.5 minutes or something, 2.5 minutes over that mission, because in that mission you had to race across town, whereas with this one it was like, nah, you don't have to race across town, all you've got to do is just, you know, have a try and see what you can get. Also, the frame rate for this particular part, I will mention this as a heads up, the frame rate is really dire around here for some weird reason. Like, the closer you get to the coast, you'll notice as well, like, more cars spawn on the screen, so there'll be a lot of times where I'm looking to the side. And like I said before, the reason why we do all this looking to the side stuff is to increase the frame rate and to speed the game up a bit. It doesn't speed the game up tenfold, but it does, like, you can probably tell when I'm looking to the side that it slightly improves frame rate. Like I said, weird thing, but hey, if it works, it works. I can't complain. Hopefully I don't hit a car. Nice, I didn't mean to do that. That's fine. There we go, and that's it. So we use the drowning technique, and then that basically finishes it off. Just like that. So now we move into the final act of the game, which is New York. Now, New York is the toughest part of the run by far, like hands down, toughest run, toughest part. So there's two ways you can actually go about this. So this is actually quite good for a bidding war. I don't usually do this for bidding wars and stuff like that, but there's two sides of the story that you can beat, and it depends on which mission you pick at the very start of New York. So there's two missions. There's Luther's Heap of Junk, which is followed by a mission known as The Rescue. And then there's this mission, which is known as Grand Central Station Switch, and it's followed by a mission known as The Accident. Now, where one route is slower than the other, but one route is slower than the other, but here's the catch. Where you make up time on one mission, you'll lose out on another. So, for example, we can actually make up the time at the start of this run, at the start of New York, by doing the Grand Central Station Switch and The Accident, and it'll actually save us like 3 minutes, but then we'll lose 2 to 3 minutes just on the like the second to last mission. But it gains us like a minute overall, if that makes sense. You know, like, so you gain time earlier on, then you lose a little bit later on, but you still gain time overall. Also, that's pretty lucky police placement for that part of the mission. I'm glad that went well. So that doesn't actually let you hit the arrow until you've no police on you. So this is actually similar to the Mercy mission. This is a 3-part mission. So what we've got to do, we have to get to Grand Central, I believe it was there. Oh, some train station. Do a deal with a guy. Now we've got to go and make the... Oh, sorry. Go to a train station, get the things, then get to Grand Central Station to make an exchange. And then what we've got to do is we've got to get back to the original supplier, the original guy at that train station, who will provide us with money or whatever. I don't really know. I haven't really watched the cutscenes to this game for a while. Also, one big note. So, I'm probably wrong in this. So this is a guy from Great Britain talking about something from the US. So he probably knows nothing. But I believe in New York taxis are quite bad. Yes, like there's a lot of taxis in New York, and it's full of them and that sort of thing. Like it's hectic with taxis, and some of them are a bit crazy and stuff. Well, this game decided to imitate it. Basically, most cars that spawn on the road are either city cars or taxis. But taxis seem to, more than often than not, get in your way. They pull out from side streets and everything. And they are a real pain in the ass. Let's just put it that way. They are a real pain in the ass. So, we've now made the exchange, which now means we have to get back to that guy at the train station. And with a bit of luck, we should be able to get back in one piece. Now, it's worth noting, you ideally want to save as much damage as you can spare on your car for this mission, because near the end of the mission you might still have enemy cars chasing you. So you remember the informant I was saying back in Miami, police cars that never stop spawning? Well, here we have cars that tail you and do not stop spawning here. So these two black sedans that are now following me, they are actually going to be following me the entire mission all the way back home. So here they go. Nope. Here we are. So that was quite unlucky, to be honest. It was not the junction I wanted that to happen. So these guys are a real pain. And like I said, it's not nearly as bad as the traffic. The traffic is horrendous. As soon as I see a taxi, I start going, oh no. Because the taxis can just pull out. They really can't, like that, for example. And then that can happen, and yeah, round we go. Seems like I'm gonna have a hard time with this mission. Or not. Yeah, take that. Thank you, taxi. Today a taxi saved my life. Also, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to hope it does. Okay, that didn't quite work. I might have a bit of a problem here, because there's two of them. Right, okay, hopefully, yeah, might have enough health there. There we go. Now I need to hurry up and get to that arrow before one more spawns. There we go. Good stuff. Okay. We're in the clear. Phew. That is why you have to have... That's why, in my opinion, it's better to have plenty of damage. Because if you have two cars... Normally, I've never had two cars. It's very rare that I've had two cars chase me. Usually, I had the one. And then you can easily destroy it. And if you're very lucky, you can have no cars chasing you at the end. Because they lose you just in time. So now comes the first of two missions in New York, which are an absolute pain to do. So this one is called The Accident. And supposedly we have to cause an accident. So we're chasing down a guy in a cop car and apparently cause said accident. It feels very familiar to a GTA mission before GTA was a thing properly. Okay. So sometimes that can happen. So like I said, we've got to now chase him and hope that we can catch him. The taxis, like I said, taxis will try and get in your way. Just hoping that we can catch this guy. There we go. Oh dear. No. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Phew. I've never had a car tip over in that mission. But that was lucky. We didn't get in too fast, but that's fine. So that's the first. That's like the first of two missions, which are a bit of a pain. Like I said, New York is where things get really tricky. So now what we're going to do is we've got 4 missions, which are the final 4 missions of the game. So we have first one is called Trash Granger's Wheels. Basically, there's a guy called Granger. He has a gang, and at the head of Granger's gang is a guy called Castaldi, I believe it is. And the whole idea of the game now is that we have to take Castaldi's gang down. So it's like, right, let's annoy Granger. I think he's like one of the like main guys of the gang anyway. It's like, let's annoy him, shall we? So he's left his car outside his apartment, and Castaldi's gone. Go and wreck his car. Show him who's boss. We've gone, yeah, alright. Whatever you say, Castaldi, it's definitely not going to get me in trouble, is it? It's like, no. Anyway, as you'll soon see, things don't exactly go according to plan. So, turns out he has an entire army of police guarding him. Also, here's a fun fact for you. So, his car can sometimes not spawn if you're unlucky. You may have noticed as well that one thing that we do, one thing that happens there is after we wrecked his car, you may or may not have noticed, but they give you like a 2-second buffer to get away from his car. So once you've wrecked his car, there's like 2 seconds. If you count up to 2, the police do not chase you for 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden they start going, wait, hang on, wait. We were chasing some guy? It's like, yeah, you were chasing me, remember? Oh, yeah. Also, you can always get police at the end there. Yeah, you can always get a cop car there, at which point it's easy to just wreck him there, like that. So that's Trash Granger's Wheel. So next we have a mission, and I won't lie, this is the hardest mission in the entire game, for me, personally. It's called The Negatives. So basically, a bunch of Granger's gang are trying to get away, and we're trying to take them down. So, we've been told to get them, and I'm pretty sure we know what the game was going for when it says what it says. I mean, this was 1999, by the way, and game development, developer stuff, and all that. Yeah. Nice. Sweet. Okay, that went down well. So now that we got the negatives done, thank God them missions went well. We have a mission called Rite of Passage. Now, Rite of Passage takes about 3 and a bit minutes. Now, here's where the story changes. So if you pick Grand Central Station Switch, you do the accident, you have to take the car out. Then you've got Trash Granger's Wheels, you still do the negatives. But on this mission, we've basically got to drive from one side of New York to the other within a time limit, which is quite strict. And it's supposedly testing out a route because turns out Castaldi has a big plan. The big plan? Kill the President of the United States. That's his plan. Yeah, how extreme is that? Very, I know. But we've apparently got to test out the route that this is supposedly the route that what is it? What do you call it? The like train of cars, what they call them, is security set. I don't know, what do they call it? Can't remember.
Secret Service?
I guess so. What, is it not like called? I know it's a Secret Service, but is it like it's like a colony of cars sort of thing?
Oh, yes. There's now I forget the word too.
Yeah. You know, like a load of cars that have got like security and everything. You know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, like it's train basically, but it's cars. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is supposedly where the president will be going. So that's the route that we're doing. And it's just basically like a test run of seeing if Tanner can do it. And if he proves that he can do it, then he gets the job, and he's the driver of the president. And the idea is that Tanner this whole time has been proving himself to Castaldi. only to realise that he's then going to be driving the president into his death, because he's going to be driving the car that will kill him, in the sense of, you know, he's going to be basically driving him into an ambush, and yeah. Yeah, so if you happen to play Grand Central Station Switch, if you do that mission, then you get that side of the story. But if you do Luther Super Junk and do a mission called The Rescue, you end up rescuing a few people from Castaldi's gang, and one of these people is called Ali, and Ali is like a lawyer and stuff like that, and she can help you get Castaldi locked up for good, supposedly anyway. So she can help you. So like I said, but you don't do the accident, you do the rescue, which is a 6 and a bit minute long mission. It's very long and it is quite tough, I won't lie. You still do Trash Granger's Wheels, you still do the negatives in that route. However, instead of doing this mission, which is called Rite of Passage, you do something called the Ali situation. At that point in the story, Ali is kidnapped and you have to go and rescue her. Basically, you have to drive somewhere, pick her up, get her back to safety at the safe house, and jobs are good. And that's pretty much that mission. But it all ends with the president and Tanner driving the president into his death. At the hands of himself. And basically, he's giving in to Castaldi's gang. But obviously, as I said at the very start of this run, Tanner is an undercover cop, so there's no way he's going to let that slide, is there? Of course he won't let it slide, he's a cop. So, if you never play the ending of this game, then you might be in for a surprise. Mainly because of the fact that the ending of this run is done a lot more different and may surprise you if you've never seen the mad part of it that comes at the end. Let's just say that. So, funnily enough, I had a run on console that was done like 1:11 pace, and I was like 2-3 minutes ahead of the record on console. And I got to that corner there, and I got took out by a taxi. So yeah, the more you know, I guess. Also, time will be coming up very shortly, like in about a minute and a half. Just for your information. Depending on how this goes, so we'll see. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the President's Run, the hardest mission in the entire game of Driver 1. I wouldn't say it is because of what I'm about to do, but as a casual player, this is extremely difficult. So we have to get the President from one side of New York to the other. And supposedly, the death trap thing, yeah, Tanner ain't letting that happen. So Castaldi's gang, he ain't gonna let that happen, is he? Bloody hell, let that happen. So what we do here is we wait here, and that's one way of getting outbound. So we get pushed outside of the map like this, and we're now driving outside of the map. Yeah. So the cars go at that fast of a speed, they push you through the wall. And what we've now got to do is we're now going to drive into water, just sink the car. And you remember the other thing? I was going to get a mission pass. Yeah, there you go. And time. That's it. So allow me to just explain what happened at the end there. That was also a pretty good run too. I'm happy about that. Allow me to just explain what happened at the end of that run. So, the cars push you through. You get pushed through the wall by the cars because they're going 200 miles an hour or whatever they do. Smash through the wall. You take a bit of damage. Yeah, so what? Then you drive the President over to the Golden Gate Bridge without clipping back inside the map. Now, it's not too difficult once you're outside the map. Once you get out of the map, it's easy. You just have to make sure you don't drive too close to the buildings, and then you eventually drive into the water. The car sinks like it did in Los Angeles, as you may remember. The car sank, and it gives you an instant mission pass. Normally in this mission,
How much of the FBI did Vaughn
you
drag down
drive
with him?
all the way across the map, taking full damage from cars. It's basically survival mode cops, which, for those that don't know, survival mode cops are relentless. They are put on hyperspeed. They do not stop coming for you. And the game, it becomes extremely difficult. That mission, it becomes extremely difficult. Obviously, I can do it. I can do it without using the glitch, but if you're doing speedrunning, obviously you want to get the fastest thing. Also, because Tanner went so far undercover, he decided not to take back his badge. Obviously, he takes it back for Driver 2. Spoilers from 2000. But yeah, he ends up not taking back his badge, and he ends up going across this bridge. So, here's another thing that changes. Depending on the route, you obviously get different missions, and you also get a different ending. So this is ending... I want to say ending A, which is like the standard ending, which is that Tanner has stopped the president from getting killed, he's not took his badge back, and he's basically travelling away from New York. He's going relaxing on his own. In the alley situation, if you beat the game and you do the alley situation and you do that side of the story, Tanner ends up driving along a coastal town and stuff like that, going through a tunnel and everything, with Ali in the passenger seat. And yeah, that's ending B. There's also one last surprise, which I kind of want to show off as well, before I round out this run and hand it back to the host, which is that there is a bonus city in this game. Now, here's the thing, I'll let it play out. It's actually part of the credits, but you have to play the credits separately, so I'm going to do that. So we're going to play the credits for you. Just whilst these credits are playing, though, just to explain a few little bits and pieces. So, when the game was being made, it was based in Newcastle, in England, and they decided to make a little chunk of Newcastle in the game. Now, in the PS1 version, this was not playable. Unless you had Game Shark cheats, then you can actually play this, which is really cool. But in the PC version, you can actually play Newcastle. The music that you can hear as well in the background, so the OST for this, was actually supposed to go with this. It wasn't supposed to go with the game normally. So the game actually has a day and a night for Miami, a day and a night for San Francisco, one time of day for Los Angeles for whatever reason, and a day and a night for New York. Now, each day and night and everything, if you go in take a ride mode anyway, which is where you can just cruise around the cities at your own leisure, get police chases, etc., it has its own soundtrack. Now, there was one particular soundtrack, which is the one you can hear. Now, this gets played during the missions and stuff like that anyway, so it's not like it goes completely unused. But what was originally supposed to happen is in the game, you're actually supposed to be allowed to choose Newcastle, which had this music playing, and obviously it had its chase music as well. Again, you've heard this in the run before, so it's not like I'm hiding anything here. You have heard it before. But yeah, as a whole, this was like a little part of Newcastle that was made. And like I said, you can activate it with Game Shark cheats. If you got the PC version, as soon as you beat the game, you unlock all the cheats and you have the ability to play Newcastle. One last thing as well, just to round everything out, I just want to quickly say a big shout out goes to the driver community, Driver Madness Discord as well. The guy I mentioned before, Soapy, who made the Driver 2 PC port, has also made a PC driver project known as the Driver Syndicate. I'd highly recommend giving it a look. It is basically Driver in, I want to say Driver in Unreal Engine in a way, but not in Unreal Engine. It was in a custom built engine that Soapy made, and it allows for modding of old games and cars and stuff like that. It is a community-based project. Would highly recommend giving it a shot if you're into Driver and you're into the original Driver games. It's got a lot of the stuff from the original Driver games in there, if that's of any interest. And obviously, last but not least, I think it goes without saying, big thanks to Team Velocity for having me once again on the marathon. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your marathon, and thank you very much for watching.